Isabella here, and today we're going to be reading some more creepypastas. So today we're going to be reading about Laughing Jill. This shouldn't be too long, so I'll try to read as slow as I can, but yeah, let's just get right into it. Let me tell you a story, not a bedtime story, but a genuine story. This is the story of Laughing Jill and Mary, and every word is true. Mary was a lonely child. That was an understatement for a city child. Even the rich children had a lot of friends, but Mary was an outcast. She never had a true friend before, but maybe it's because her dad was an entrepreneur and designed most of the industry for the 19th century Glasgow, Scotland. Her dad was crazy, which is another understatement. He had a habit for starting projects at random times of the day and staying up for days on end to finish them before scrapping them to start another one. Mary was a quiet girl at school that she went to. She was a high achiever due to her parents' high expectations, so she was made to study as much as possible. She didn't always want to study. She wanted to play, get dirty, laugh, anything that a normal child would want to do. On Christmas, she was showered with expensive presents as usual, but she didn't want another pony to add to her five already, or another expensive dress. She wanted something simpler like a Jack-in-the-Box, Jack, uh, not Jack, Jill, or a friend, or maybe better, a friend. Mary was half begging for a true friend, but you can't buy friends. Well, true friends anyway. She walked upstairs after thanking the servants with a fake smile and walked to her room. It was another day where her parents thought they could buy her happiness. They showered her with expensive clothes and items, and she didn't want any of this. She wanted to live like a commoner. A large four-poster bed with velvet curtains, giant fluffy pillows, a walk-in wardrobe, and an exotic tiger fur rug. But at some point, a guardian angel out there must have took pity on the girl, because the next morning after she had breakfast alone, she left a small present on her bed. Mary knew that this was something odd, but when she walked in, she saw a small box on her bed. It was painted in bright colors and with colorful clowns and flowers on each side, with a crank on the other side. There was a carved note on the side which said, "Merry Christmas, Mary. Have a laughing Jill in the box." That was weird, Mary thought. That there was only Jack in the boxes, never mind laughing ones. For the curiosity's sake, she sat cross-legged on her bed and started turning the handle on the crank as Pop Goes the Weasel plays, but it sounds like the voice was getting louder as she turned it. Round and round the berry plant, the monkey chased the weasel. The monkey caught up and the game was done. Pop! A loud pop sounds as when the thing was supposed to sound. There was a cloud of dust. I'm assuming that's meant to say dust. Mary thought this was just a prank until she saw her. It was a girl who looked in her mid-teens, and she had long brown hair that fell to her waist, and she wore a long dress to her ankles that puffed out naturally. She was so colorful and had panels of every color on her except her white ruffle at her chest. She wore her dress just above the knees, and Mom would kill her for doing that. Mary thought, looking at the stranger. "Ugh, so good to get out of there," she says in a soft voice before looking around to face Mary and starts giggling. "Oh, sorry, sweetie. I'm Laughing Jill, your new best friend." She smiled sweetly, looking at Mary with large green eyes as Mary saw her pointed nose with a colorful cone at the end of it. She had bright pink eyes, and she looked extremely pale but quite healthy at the same time. Hi, Jill, I'm Mary." Mary stuttered shyly, looking at the ground, trying to avoid eye contact. "I know that. I know everything about you. I'm designed to be your friend. I like what you like, hate what you hate, and love what you love." Jill smiles, climbing into the covering sheet of the bed and laying down, giggling. "Okay, how is this possible?" Mary asked curiously. She's a person of logic and didn't believe that this was happening. Jill stops giggling and hangs her head over the side. "Never, ever question good things because they always make you feel bad," Jill says, before grabbing onto the frame and rolling off so she was hanging onto the frame before she landed softly on the floor, as if she weighed nothing more than a feather. "Why?" Mary asked before having a handful of hard candy thrown at her gently. Mary looked surprised before looking around for the source of candy. "What did I just say?" Mary asked, putting a piece of candy in her mouth, smiling as she falls back onto the bed. "Don't question it," Mary says shyly. "Exactly. Mary, get dressed so we can play some games," Jill says, jumping onto the bed and swinging her legs up to show a pair of knee-high boots. "That's unladylike, Jill," Mary says, walking over to her closet and pulling open the doors to it. Where I come from, we can do whatever we want, Jill says as Mary gets chains. We can eat however much candy we want and even ride any animal we want. Jill stands up and stretches before asking, do you want to play in the snow? My mom and dad say it's dangerous, Mary says shyly, and Mother wants to talk to me about something. It's the most awesome thing to do. Wrap up in warm clothes and I'll wait for you after you see your mom. Jill giggles before disappearing. Mary puts on her warmest clothes and went downstairs to see her mom in the main room. Her mom was sitting on the chair waiting for her. After listening to her mom for about an hour talking about how she had to get married and things like that, ending in Mary getting shouted at for some bottles thrown at her as she tries to tell her mom that she was too young to get married. She walks out of the garden where Jill is waiting with a clump of snow in her hand, bouncing it up and down, waiting for her to get outside talking to her mom. Thud! The snowball hit the wall next to Mary, giving her a fright due to the moving snowball that just missed her. Come on, Mary, have some fun, Jill says, laughing, while scooping up more snow and throwing it at the servant, hitting him in the face, making him take a double take due to the sudden projectile hitting him in the face. But it's not right, Jill, Mary complains, walking towards Jill, being careful not to slide on the frozen path. What? Having fun? Jill says confused. I don't like it, Mary complains, wrapping her arms around her tighter. You do like it, Mary. That's why I'm doing it. You secretly want to join me, but you're afraid of getting in trouble, Jill says, tossing the snowball between her hands. I don't, Mary says. Then why is there a snowball in your hand? Jill asks, looking at Mary to see the snowball had appeared in her hand. Give it your best shot, Jill taunts, dancing away through the statues in the garden. Mary throws and hitting the servant straight in the face as Jill hides behind him. Miss, this is outrageous, the servant says, scowling at Mary. But Laughing Jill dared me to do it, complains. Who is Laughing Jill? The servant asks, moving his hair out of his face. She's my friend. Look behind you. Mary starts sounding like she's about to cry. The servants turn around as Jill touches his jaw, making him shiver. There's no one here. He's looking around but can't see Jill. Miss, you are going back to your room. Mary was taken back to her room by the servant, and Jill sneaks up behind the servant as he walks in after Mary and puts a snowball down the shirt, making him squirm, as Jill starts laughing, and Mary giggles at the servant as he gets even more mad. This went on for years. Jill and Mary would play every day, having fun and getting into trouble. Mary was wrong, and she enjoyed having fun, playing games and pranks. Her parents thought she was just joking around with an imaginary friend until she became 12. Mary was supposed to be a mature and teen, but now she still blamed everything on Jill, who was always hiding behind the person who gave Mary into trouble. Until one day, Mary! Mary's dad Henry shouts from his study. Yes, Dad, Mary says, walking and dragging her feet, and Jill follows, invisible to everyone except Mary. You need to stop this. Jill isn't real, and she never has been, Henry says, looking down at Mary, who's turned into some rebellious kid. She doesn't wear as big dresses and dresses more like children on the street. She is real, Mary mutters under her breath. Stop saying that, Mary. Both me and your mother are worried. Henry is close to shouting as he brushes down his fancy business too. Then where's Mother? If she cared, she wouldn't be drunk, would she? Mary asks, getting mad, as Jill sits on the desk giggling. Jill hasn't aged at all and still looks like the way she did when she first met Mary. The only difference was she now had an evil grin on her face, as well as her colors have faded, but nothing noticeable. Don't say that about your own mother, Henry said, obviously mad. I can say what I want, not like she cares about me, Mary shouts before getting a slapped across the face. Jill kicks Henry square in the back, knocking him to the ground with a thud. I will not try my own daughter as a witch, but you are going away to a place where they teach you. Jill doesn't exist, Henry shouts, struggling to get up as Jill sits on his back, scratching things into his back suit. Make me, Jill says, as two nuns walk through the door with their heads bowed. These are what these ladies are hired to do, Henry says, as Jill then punches him back, stunning him as he gasps for breath. Jill! Mary shouts as the woman drags her out of the room as Mary chuckles. Mary! Jill shouts as everyone heard that. I will be looking for you. I will be looking for you, Jill says silently as Mary is taken away from her. Jill was losing her color. Every day she slowly lost her color due to Mary's unhappiness. She couldn't even see Mary, but it was Mary's mind that was doing this. Jill tried to leave, but she couldn't. Her box was there, so she couldn't leave for longer than an hour a week because of this. Jill was going crazy. and servants were finding flipped tables, broken furniture, and they found dress scrapes near each of these. As Jill's mind was going crazy, her dress was remaking itself, panel by panel, strip by strip. Mary's mom stopped drinking a week after Mary left and started crying about how wrong they were, and Jill joined in on these. Jill didn't cry. She never cries, but she didn't miss Mary so much. Mary wasn't doing any better. The nuns were drilling into her head that Jill was a demon and that she was evil. Mary was pretending to respond to the treatment when truthfully she hated every single one of them and wished they would die. She had her own room, but she ended up carving things into the walls, and the door was a door one was. If there truly is a God, he will beg for my forgiveness. After a year of this, Mary was allowed to see her family again at the house. Mary wasn't happy to see her family, but Jill. Mary was escorted into a house where her family was waiting for her, and they were there with the servants and everyone except for Jill. I see you gave up believing in her, Mary, her dad says happily. He continued praising her until she saw a figure walk into the room giggling. Everyone else heard it and turned around to see the source. Mary, Mary, quite contrary, Jill giggles as everyone looks at Jill for the first time ever. Jill was taller now, and that was her main feature. She had longer hair that fell in uneven strands, and her cone nose was now black and white. The scary thing was her dress. It went from being full of colors to black and white. Her dress was shredded, and at the bottom her eyes were now black, as the iris was black, and it was terrifying. Jill, what happened? Mary asked with a minute of silence, and the room was filled with laughter. You really want to know? Jill walks forward towards Mary's dad. When this bitch got rid of you, it drove me insane. Jill was right next to his ear. Like, I will do to all these people. I couldn't stand being alone. Remember what you said? Remember what you were like before you met me? That's what I was like. Lonely and depressed, so I couldn't eat any candy. Jill flicks her arm and candy slides out her sleeve. Mary, say the word and we'll be together forever and none of these aids can keep us apart. Jill, I can't. Bang! Mary fell to the ground as Jill feels something pass through her body. Jill turns around to see Mary's mother there with a gun in her hand. Mary's death made her snap. In another room, the Jack in the Box from all those years ago broke into a million pieces. You're a monster, she says to her, brown hair hiding her face. You can't die. To me, you killed Mary? Your daughter? Your only child? Jill starts laughing. Watch your back, you old hag, Jill says as she runs past Mary's mom, sticking out now her claw-like hand towards her and sliced through her dress, scratching her stomach, laughing. Sleep with one eye open, honey, Jill laughing as she disappears in the thin air. Later that day, Mary's mom was walking through her house, minding her own business, as she walks into the living room to see the unwelcome sight. It was the two nuns hanging from the chandelier by two ends of one rope. They had their stomach slices open with an untidy slash and was dripping flesh blood into the floor. On the wall in fresh blood was, I warned you, sweetie. What's that behind you? Mary's mom was scared, but she turned around slowly to see a black and white face staring at her. Jill is holding her husband's most recent invention. It was a saw designed to cut down trees without needing more than one person. It was also covered in blood. A high-pitched squeal goes through the house as Jill lifts up the chainsaw and shoves it into Mary's mom's stomach, making her cough up blood and fall to her knees. I warned you, honey, Jill laughs, pulling the chainsaw out of her stomach. When Henry walked in, he was greeted with the sight of Mary's mom hanging from a light fitting as well. The writing changed to, I warned her, didn't she? I warned her and she didn't listen. I warned you, and here you are. So what's behind you? Henry turns around to hear the door open, soft singing. Mary, Mary, dead just maybe, how does your tombstone show? With moss that swells with snow and that fills the hole. Jill walks in slowly, swinging the saw in her hand, giggling. What do you want, demon? Henry asks, holding his gun at Jill. Isn't it obvious? Revenge. You killed my friend. My only friend. Your own damn daughter, Jill shouts, revving the saw. An eye for an eye, a life for a life. Jill shoves the saw through his stomach, laughing. You witch! Henry hisses. Nothing new there, Jill laughs, pulling the saw up and slicing through his ribs. Jill is still out there, and her story has been replaced with another. But she is still out there. She was still there, but one question. What's that behind you? How does that Like, how? Like, these fucking people just kill their own daughter because she was talking to what they claimed to was a demon or a witch, and they're just like, yeah, that's fine. I just killed my daughter. It is what it is. Like, what? But yeah, I hope you like this one. I'm also sorry, like, if some of this doesn't make sense or if the writing doesn't make sense. It's not mine. I'm just reading what someone else posted, so credit to that. Um, but yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. If you're new to my channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and hit the bell so you're notified when we make videos, which is daily. And if you want to leave some more creepypastas or stuff for me to read, creepy stuff for me to read, then leave down in the comments. And yeah, I will see you guys later. Bye bye.